Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report, and I think I got something really special for you today, and I cannot wait to get this to the range and try it out. We are going to be shooting and reviewing the B&T APC9 SD MBT. And that is a lot of letters to describe the firearm you see in front of you. So let's break that down. B&T. Originally, the company was called Brugger and Toment, but I believe they have officially shortened it to just B&T. The APC stands for Advanced Police Carbine, and this is their flagship 9mm PCC. And of course, if you are in the military or in law enforcement, you can get these in full auto, but this is just a semi-automatic version of this amazing firearm. The 9 means it is chambered in 9mm and takes the B&T proprietary magazines. The SD means this is integrally suppressed, and you can see that big old suppressor underneath that handguard. And the MBT means it has the MBT stock attached, and this is one of their newer offerings. It's folding and has plenty of adjustments. So this is a really cool variant of this gun, and many people think it is better than the MP5, and I think that is a bold claim, but I've shot many B&Ts in the past, and I know they are of exceptional quality. So I cannot wait to get this to the range and try it out and see if that claim is true. But before we get this to the range and talk about all of its amazing features and the things that I like and don't like, as always, I want to thank the people that make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this amazing firearm. His name is Jack, and he's a local fan and subscriber. In fact, he's the second person named Jack that lends guns to the channel. And being that this is an NFA item, I do appreciate his time and all of the logistics in making this video happen. So thank you so much, Jack. I always want to thank my Patreon supporters, because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here, and I could not do this without them. And if you guys want to join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, you get to see all of these videos early, and there's a link in the description below. And as always, I want to thank my primary sponsor, who always provides the ammunition for these range reports and makes them financially feasible for me, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And here we are once again reviewing and shooting an amazing high-end firearm. And I know why you're here. You love high-end firearms and you collect high-end firearms. You probably own a Colt 1911, a Beretta 92, a CZ75, or a Browning high power, just to name a few. These are probably antique and heirloom firearms, and you might be in the market for a set of customized wood grips to make your amazing collection unique and one of a kind. Well, I have the perfect grip company for you, Brownworks. Brownworks is a custom grip company making a wide variety of grips for a wide variety of firearms out of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. Mark is an artist and he's a craftsman. He's always applying new and innovative features to his grips. He can apply custom logos, custom textures, custom engravings. He can finish these grips in a wide variety of colors. He can create his own laminate woods and even apply exotic materials like snakeskin and alligator skin to make these grips unique and one of a kind. Anything you can imagine, Mark can make. Each set of grips is unique and made to order. So I'm going to put a link to his website in the comment section below, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. I'm going to ask you to go over there, see everything he has to offer. And when you place that order for your first set of custom grips, please tell Mark the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so let's talk about this amazing firearm we have on the table today, the B&T APC9 SD MBT. This is a gun primarily designed for law enforcement and militaries, but this is an SBR. It is semi-automatic only, and so this is kind of the civilian version of this firearm. The APC is a very modular design. You can change out stocks, lower receivers, calibers, barrel lengths, handguards. It's a very modern and innovative design. This is integrally suppressed, And so you can see the suppressor here underneath the handguard. This suppressor is removable. You can unscrew it, but being integrally suppressed, the barrel is vented or ported, and it slows the projectile down even if you're running supersonic velocity 9mm to a subsonic speed, making the gun even more quiet. This action is direct blowback. Sometimes people think because this is kind of a competition to the MP5, they think it is also roller delayed, but it is not. This uses a hydraulic buffer to slow down the action and make it soft shooting, and it is not roller delayed, it's just direct blowback. Some people are going to like that, some people are not, but I think B&T goes to great lengths to make sure that the recoil impulse of both guns is pretty much the same. That hydraulic buffer does an amazing job. So before we get this to the range, I always want to talk about the things that I like and don't like, and I always want to start with the positive first. And the first thing I love about this gun is the quality. If you've ever handled a B&T firearm, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is Swiss engineering at its finest. It is finished beautifully. It is fit beautifully. Everything that goes into this gun is probably over-engineered. There's a lot of companies out there today that pump out PCCs, and they try to do it cheaply. But I can tell you, from my interaction with people at B&T, they are gun people. They care more about the quality of the product than the quantity of the product, and they take great pride in that. And every time I have fired or handled a B&T firearm, I have always been very impressed. And if there is an issue, they've always fixed it. They take such pride in the products that they make. This gun is also my absolute favorite type of firearm, a 9mm PCC. I know a lot of people might not be into that, but I've always been fascinated by submachine guns and guns that are essentially rifles but chambered in pistol calibers, and that's what this is. For me, just so much fun to shoot. I love the MP5, I love the APC, I love the GHM, and many other guns that are like this. For me, they're just fun. I like how compact they are and how easy they are to shoot. So this is right up my alley and exactly the type of firearm that I love to collect and I love to shoot. And speaking of this gun size, I'm a big fan of this being the full size. B&T does make a K version of many of their models, but I've always preferred these sub guns to be a little bit bigger. Sometimes I think companies are in a rush to make them as tiny as possible, and they just are not as comfortable for me to shoot. Yes, the recoil is about the same, but I'm always scared that my hand is going to get in front of that muzzle. I always have to have hand stops and the like. I've always preferred the full-size PCCs. I think the size of this handguard is perfect. I think it is the most well-balanced variant of this gun. It's just the right size for me. And really shaving off just a few inches of this isn't going to make that much of a difference. So I've always preferred the full-size guns over the K guns. I also like the fact this gun takes their magazines. Now, some people don't like these magazines because they're made of polymer, and they're always complaining, well, they're going to crack. Well, I have never had a B&T magazine crack on me. Some people claim they have. I've never had an issue, and I like the fact these are double feed magazines. One of the questions I always get when I review a PCC is, does it take Glock mags? Well, sometimes, well, this one doesn't, and thank God, because I don't think every gun needs to take Glock mags. They're not the best magazine for PCCs. I understand it's convenient to have your pistols and your PCCs use the same mags, but I like it when you have a magazine designed for a gun like this. So I'm a big fan of that, and I do like the PCC mags from B&T. The straight-walled, double-stack magazines, for me, they just work. And the last thing I really like about this gun is the fact it is side charging like an MP5, and it is ambidextrous. So as you can see, we have a charging handle on both sides. I really like that because I like to keep my shooting hand on the grip and to charge the weapon using my left hand. As I said, just like an HK Legacy firearm. But now let's talk about a couple things about this gun that I don't like. And really, there's only a couple. The first thing I don't like about this particular variant is the stock. Now, I know a lot of people like this MBT stock, but when it comes to PCCs and especially B&Ts, I love the telescoping stocks. I understand that this is going to give you probably a better feel. It's going to feel more sturdy. You do have a lot of adjustments on it, but for me, it kind of looks like the old FN Scar Ugg boot stocks. It's compact, but for me, there's nothing like a telescoping stock. And the last thing I don't like about this gun is the newer style lowers. Now, I have a couple of different generations of the APC in my personal collection, and my oldest one is an APC45. And I like that one because the manual of arms on the lower is very much like an AR-15. And the biggest difference is the bolt release. On this gun, you have a bolt release right here that you have to push down. But on the old style, you pushed in. And that's just like an AR-15 with that ping pong paddle on the side. So I find that when I shoot this, I always try to push it in when I should push it down. And it always slows me a little bit. I just wish they would keep the older design, or at least offer that. I find that to be more ergonomic. But I know those two complaints are very, very small. And of course, you can change the stock out. But before we get this to the range, I do want to show you what this trigger is all about. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera, get out the Lyman trigger pull weight gauge, test this trigger out, and then we're going to go have some fun. So let's see what the trigger in this B&T APC9 is all about. Of course, we'll start by dropping the magazine, ensuring that there is no ammunition in it, setting that aside. And of course, safety checking the firearm, ensuring there is nothing inside the chamber, and it looks like we are good. Now, this is a single action only trigger, so let's turn on the Lyman trigger pull weight gauge here and let's measure it. So for our first pull, we have 5 pounds, 13.3 ounces. Six pounds, 6.8 ounces. Five pounds, 14.1 ounces. Five pounds, 7.8 ounces. Five pounds, 8.2 ounces. And I'm going to pull the trigger just a couple more times because I did have that one outlier that was over 6 pounds. Five pounds, 2.8 ounces. And finally, five pounds, 9.9 ounces, which gives us an average of 5 pounds, 11.3 ounces. So it's definitely not a target trigger, but for a gun like this, I think it is perfectly adequate. I would call that a duty trigger. I'm a big fan of the shape of the trigger face. I like how it's slightly curved. You all know I'm not a big fan of flat face triggers. But now let's also take a look at this reset. So here is our initial take up. It is very smooth. You come back. It is a very crisp break. And then our reset might be a little bit long, but it is very tactile and audible when it does reset. I would say it feels very much like a mil-spec AR-15 trigger. So it's pretty good overall. So that's what this trigger is all about. So now let's get this gun to the range. So as always, when it comes to guns that are rifles or shot from the shoulder, I want to start with the target just at 10 yards. I want to make sure this gun is going to function. I want to see what it's all about, hear the tone of the suppressor, and just see if the sights are on. So let's go to the range. Let's put our first shots through this and see what my experience is like. And I think those results are pretty darn definitive. This gun definitely shoots like an MP5. It feels like an MP5 and it sounds like an MP5, but it is more accurate. I'm very impressed with this. I'm also really impressed with the tone of this suppressor. It's very low. I know those rounds are going down range subsonic, but the tone of the suppressor I think is more impressive than the actual decibel reading. This thing is quiet, but the tone is very low, so it's very comfortable to hear. I'm also very pleased that the gun is not very gassy at all. Typically with direct blowback and a suppressor, you do get a lot of gas back in your face. I don't think this is a low resistance suppressor. It's kind of a standard one with the typical baffle stack, but I'm not getting a lot of that back pressure. I'm very, very impressed with this. It's a very well shooting and well balanced gun. Well, let's just go back to the range and shoot this more. Let's add 5 more yards to this target. I'm going to go for the head on this silhouette and just make sure it continues to group this well. This gun is a lot of fun. So let's go back to the range. And honestly, I don't think I could miss with this thing. This thing is a very forgiving gun. I'm not 100% sure that I'm putting that red dot right back on target every time, but those rounds are going exactly where I want them to. The only thing bad about this gun that I've noticed so far is how dirty it is running. In fact, I picked up a few of the casings that I shot, and you can see these are getting absolutely filthy. Of course, it is a suppressed firearm, so I do expect that, but I am getting this gun absolutely filthy, and the cartridges are filthy, and the side of the firearm are absolutely filthy. That's just one of the downsides to a gun like this. But if you're OCD and you like to clean your guns, well, it's going to give you something to do later when you get the firearm home. All right, so let's add another 5 yards to this target because this gun is grouping amazing, and I want to see if I can continue to shoot it this well and discover anything else about the gun that I like or don't like, and I'll report back to you. So let's get back to the range. And this gun is absolutely amazing. It is so much fun. It is so well balanced. This thing is simply awesome. Now, the only other thing that I can really complain about, and I mentioned it earlier in the range report, is the bolt release. I talked about how I wish I could push it in to release it than having to push it down. I'm just so used to shooting AR type rifles that it would just make more sense that way. I just have to get used to that difference in the manual of arms. It kind of slows me down from time to time, and I do catch myself wanting to push that in and going, oh yeah, push it down. All right, so this gun is amazingly accurate. So now I'm going to set out the target at 25 yards and I'm going to shoot this from a bench. And yes, I know this gun can go out way further than this, but this pretty much is a CQB type of gun. If you're running this, you're going to want to be clearing a building. Maybe you're on a SWAT team, or maybe you buy this for home defense. And so 25 yards I think is perfectly adequate. So let's go back to the range and see what the best group I can get with this gun is if I take as much of the human element out of the equation. And as expected from this Swiss engineering, this gun is more accurate for CQB than you would ever need. In fact, this is one of the most accurate PCCs I have ever reviewed. Definitely in the top 3. It is so easy to group well, so easy to shoot, and it's so light recoiling. I have absolutely no complaints about that. All right, so the next test I want to do is a hollow point test. And if you've been following my channel for any length of time, you may have seen my videos where I had problems originally with my B&T GH-M9 that did not feed hollow points. I had to have it sent back and have the feed ramps altered. So I just want to make sure if you're going to buy this gun, especially for home defense, you're going to want to run hollow points. So I want to make sure that they're going to feed reliably. So I'm going to put a magazine of hollow points through this and just make sure that there's no issues. And as expected, it runs great. I've had no failures to feed, failures to eject, failures to fire this entire range report. This thing is simply running like a top, but that's honestly what I would expect from a B&T. All right, so the next test I want to do is honestly my favorite. I'm going to shoot this thing fast. In fact, I'm going to do 2 mag dumps through it. I also want to see if I can change this magazine out quickly, and hopefully this bolt catch button isn't going to slow me down. And I also want to see, is the gun easy to keep on target? If you're shooting this thing as fast as possible, especially in semi-auto like this gun is it easy because of the light recoil to put all of the rounds where you want them to go? So that's what I want to test. It's kind of a 3-in-1 test. So let's go back to the range and shoot this thing fast. So can I shoot this gun fast? Yeah, I can. Even though the trigger might be a little bit heavier than what I would want, I can shoot it fast. Is the gun easy to keep on target? Yes, it is very well balanced. It's light recoiling. No problems there. Now, can I change this magazine out quickly? Well, not really. It kind of slows me down a little bit. I noticed that this magazine is in the lower a little bit tighter than what I would want. When I push that magazine release button, it doesn't always want to simply fall out of the gun. Sometimes I have to strip it out. That's going to slow me down. We also don't have a very big mag well on this, so sometimes that reinsertion is a little bit harder. And then of course we have the bolt release, which is a little bit tight and you have to push down instead of in. I really feel like I could do this faster if it was more like an AR-15. So what are my final thoughts on the B&T APC9 SD MBT? This is one amazing firearm. It is exceptionally accurate, making me look like a better shot than I actually am. It is very well balanced. This suppressor does an amazing job. It has a wonderful tone to it. I don't think a single round that I shot went supersonic, so the gun is very, very quiet. And of course, the cool and fun factor is off the chart. The only cons I have with this gun are very small. We got slow mag changes because of the magazine button, and the gun runs really, really dirty. So if you're OCD like me, that's probably going to drive you nuts. And when you get back from the range and have to clean this, it's going to take you a while. But of course, that is a super duper small gripe. So on my star system, how would I rate the B&T APC9 SD MBT? Yeah, you already know what it's getting. 5 out of 5 stars. What an amazing gun. The fun and cool factor is off the chart. It's so accurate. This is exactly the type of gun that I like to shoot, review, and own. So thank you again, Jack, for giving me this amazing opportunity. So what do you guys think? Do you guys love B&T firearms as much as I do? Do you appreciate the high quality of these guns? And do you find them to shoot as well as I do? I would love to know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.